None of us starts out in this life from scratch. Our ancestors came before us and gave us the tools to build our lives. We asked our speakers today, is there someone in your life, an elder person, a parent, grandparent, older sibling, aunt, uncle, a friend, who taught you something and gave you a gift of the heart that rings true and stays with you and somehow connects you with the values of this Unitarian Universalist community?
Hi. So, my speech is kind of short. So, my grandpa, or Opa as I called him, was a very big part of my life. Okay. Opa was a businessman and as such made many connections and friends. This fits into the UU faith because our faith makes connections with multiple religions and accepts everyone no matter who they are. Opa played and still plays a big part of my life even though he has passed. My grandma, or Oma as I call her, also plays a huge part of my life. Oma is Dutch while Opa was Indonesian, and it was uncommon, and even though it wasn't illegal, marriage between Indonesians and the Dutch was looked down upon. This plays a big part in the UU faith because we accept each person and hold love and compassion for every person in the congregation.
For 56 years, the Conejo Valley Unitarian Universalist Fellowship has built a remarkable extended family. We are ever growing, ever changing, and ever loving. As time moves forward and our family grows, sadly, this means we also lose beloved community members, and our hearts grieve with each of these losses. So we're going to take a moment now to honor all the ancestor members of this congregation who have left this earth. In remembrance of each gentle soul, beginning with Neil Canoyer, all the way to our dear Clay Peel, who left us just a few weeks ago. And all in between, we will light our memorial candle. In your order of service, you will see a list of significant members and friends of this community. And their memories and their contributions remain etched in our hearts and in our community. So Rick, I'd like to invite you now to light our memorial candle and also light the 2 candles on our ancestors' table. And as we light the candles on our ancestors' table, I invite us to speak the names out loud of our own beloved family ancestors whom we wish to remember. Speak them into our sacred space now. Robert Eaton. Mary. We honor all these people who have been so important in our lives and the life of this community. In the words of Hannah Senish, there are stars whose radiance is visible on earth, though they have long been extinct. There are people whose brilliance continues to light the world, though they are no longer among the living. These lights are particularly bright when the night is dark. They light the way for humankind. May we see their light shining every day of our lives and remember their memories strongly in our hearts. May it be so.
I'm Carlotta Lavinia. I love to cook and bake. Today I would like to share a few words about the family members that inspired this love of mine. Brenda and Gary Lavinia, my Grammy and Papa, are cooks and hosts to a lot of parties. Not only does that inspire me, to cook, but they are open to very diverse guests. Since I was young, I have seen them host people of all races, no matter what gender they love, and people of all faiths. When I see all these people enjoying all this good company in my grandparents' home, I realize that they're like you and me. These diverse people are my relatives and friends, just like our fellowship. Grammy is Portuguese and Papa is Italian. Papa cooked for my dad and his brothers and sisters and became an entertaining thing. Grammy was poor growing up. She ate the same thing almost every night. They inspire me by inviting me to help them cook for the holidays. We have created many traditions, like homemade pasta for Easter and our famous pizza cook-off on New Year's Day. Rice balls, or in Italian arancini, are one of the biggest things we do. To Papa, arancini and lasagna were the main meals he was inspired to cook by his grandparents. Arancini were so special to my ancestors that they were only served once a year on Christmas, a tradition we still do today. Helping cook my family's traditional foods is a way to make me feel connected to my ancestors. It's cool to think my great-great-grandfather did the same thing I do every holiday. The food is also really good, and just the feeling of the food in my hand and mouth makes it exciting. Thank you.
First, I'd like to say something to the children who are still with us this morning. I want to tell you that this holiday, Dia de Muertos, is a holiday that I have loved ever since I was a young girl when I first heard about it. It was celebrated mostly in Mexico at that time, but has come up and is really a lot of part of California too. It lasts for 3 days, and the first day, All Hallows Eve, is a holiday that you might celebrate as Halloween. And then it goes for 2 more days. And what's wonderful about this 3-day time period is that it's a time to really celebrate our ancestors by remembering them with joy and with prayer and with picnics at the cemeteries. So remembering the people that we have lost isn't only a sad thing, it can be really a wonderful thing. And isn't that a great idea? So when I think of those who have died, I often think of a line from Robert Anderson's play, I Never Sang for My Father, where he wrote, "Death ends a life, but not a relationship, which struggles on in the survivor's mind towards some resolution, which it often never finds." So this sometimes can be painful, but often it's not. I often find it comforting to think about these relationships. So today I want to mention 3 people who were members of this congregation who I still think about and therefore still have a relationship with. All of them had a strong influence on me and my family, and I think this congregation. The first one was Ernie Potvin. Ernie was a member here in the 1990s, and he was kind and funny, and he was a great storyteller. He helped our congregation write its first advertising campaign to help grow our congregation. He pitched in and taught RE, even though he had no children of his own. He was quick to laugh, easy to talk to, and he was the first openly gay man that my kids ever knew. We knew him, we trusted and loved him, and he felt the same way about us. Next is Jo Eggenberger. She took time to teach me how to cross-stitch, and I still think of her every time I start cross-stitching one of my Santas. She also was a member starting here in the 90s, and many of us think of her every year we hang our Christmas stockings, those wonderful knitted stockings that she did with such love and care and put in our auction every year. She loved CVUUF. One of her favorite things here was to participate in the Secret Sweetheart program that we did in February, which was an effort by the adults in our congregation to try to get to know some of the kids a little better. And we would take names of kids from RE, and we would spend the first couple weeks of February sending them notes and little surprises. But Jo carried it on much after that. She wrote notes and cards to many kids in this congregation for years. She was like an extra grandma in many of our families. Jo did not have an easy life. She was a model of perseverance and good heart. My third angel is Wendy McGrath. Wendy was my younger sister. She and her family joined CVUUF in the mid-1990s, and she died in 1997 at the age of 42. Just being herself, she made me want to be a better sister, a better friend, a better wife, a better person. Wendy loved our community at CVUUF. She loved RE, and she was easy to love right back. She was kind and gentle, with just enough of a streak of stubbornness to get things done. She taught us all about dying, about loving, about dying in community, and grace. Death ends a life, but not a relationship.
Dorothy Johnson was my Nana. She was a big influence on my childhood. She taught me to make egg sandwiches, to appreciate a cozy sweater. Any sporting event makes for good background noise. And maybe some of the younger ones won't get this point, but foil makes an excellent TV antenna. Nana was a fantastic baker. She would give me little balls of dough so I could play with that while she made biscuits and bread and her amazing thumbprint cookies. Now, I find myself doing the same thing with many of my children. Nana was a fierce protector of her girls. This is your family. They may drive you nuts, but they are yours. Protect each other, take care of each other, fight for each other. You won't get another family, so make this one count. Nana would say, you don't go to church to let God know you love him. This is something you do in your everyday actions. You show your love by how you treat people. Every person deserves respect. She didn't care what color you were, whom you loved, or what neighborhood you lived in. You are a human being. It's just that simple. Turns out I was unknowingly raised a Unitarian Universalist. My amazing Nana succumbed to bone cancer in September of 1989. I was 9 years old. I didn't know I was going to get choked up at this point. Not a day goes by that I don't miss her or think of her. The smell of coffee and cigarettes make me feel like she's in the room. Looking at her paintings make me long for her artwork. And I still love a good egg sandwich. I will crave that on a daily basis. 29 years later, and I am still living the path Nana had laid down for me. You are living the path that your ancestors have laid down for you. Their lessons are your wisdoms. Their mistakes built up your strengths. Their battles gave you your freedoms. And their laughter bestowed you your joys. Their lives brought you to this moment. You are here today in this place with these people because of them. Yes, mourn their deaths. But don't forget to celebrate that they lived. And that, my friends, is how we honor our ancestors.